The purpose of a risk management plan is to identify the potential risks to an organization, to rank them in terms of severity, and to take a risk management strategy that mitigates the risks. The Clinton River incident with Winding River Canoe Rental is used as an example. A football example is used to highlight the principles also. The purpose of the integrated risk management model is to prevent lawsuits by preventing injury, damage, or loss. Embodied in barrier analysis, the accident process consists of 4 elements and is covered in other videos. The risks included in risk management planning are much broader in scope than those leading to accidents. Negligence requires 4 elements to be met. The risk management process is a 3-fold process. It seeks to reduce the likelihood of a breach of duty by employing a mix of risk management strategies. If there is no injury, damage, or loss, there is no grounds for a lawsuit. The first step in developing a risk management plan is to identify the potential risks. The following list provides the breadth of potential risks and a list for future reference. The second step is to determine the severity of the risk. Severity is composed of the probability or frequency of occurrence and the impact of the risk to the organization. Table 1 is the working table used to determine severity. Add rows as needed. Probability relates to the frequency of occurrence. Unless actual probabilities are known, use a high, medium, and low frequency of occurrence. In most cases, there is a lack of data to determine actual probabilities. High probability occurs frequently. Medium probability occurs occasionally. Low probability occurs so infrequently that the event often surprises people. If the probability is not determined, rate it as high. This prevents underrating a risk that may eventually be rated high. Impact relates how the injury, damage, or loss affects the organization. It is not to be confused with the impact to the victim. Think of high impact as having a major impact such as closing the business or ending the program. Medium impact denotes some bad press, some loss of program, but the program and agency survive. Low impact indicates little or no decline in the program or agency. As with probability, rate to be determined as high. Table 4 is used to combine probability and impact to determine severity. For example, a medium probability and a low impact results in low severity. Again, to be determined is rated as high severity until its probability and impact can be determined. Table 5 ranks possible severities. Examination of the table reveals that there is a slight emphasis on impact over probability. For risk 2, a high impact and medium probability results in a high severity. In contrast, for risk 4, a high probability and medium impact results in a medium severity. The same is true when comparing risk 3 with risk 7. However, when comparing risk 6 with risk 8, both the low-medium and medium-low result in the same low severity rating. The calculation of severity in Table 4 is somewhat arbitrary and can be changed to the individual needs. As noted, Table 4 weights impact heavier than probability or frequency of occurrence. From an organizational perspective, that may not be a bad thing either. Using Winding River's Canoe Rental as an example, and returning to Table 1, 3 risks of many and their consequences were identified. The first is the numerous strainers strewn along the river. Second is Yates Dam. Third are blisters on the hand resulting from paddling. Because strainers are dangerous at moderate and high water level, the probability of occurrence was considered medium. Since drowning would most likely be catastrophic to the survival of the company, impact was rated high. Using Table 4, severity is rated as high. At summer water levels, Yates's Dam is not runnable and must be portaged. There is little chance of being caught in the hydraulic behind the dam. At moderate and high water, the hydraulic becomes dangerous and can drown victims. Because its danger occurs with changes in water levels, probability of occurrence was rated medium. Impact to the company was rated medium also. The portage trail and advising paddlers to portage the dam are defensible positions and potentially mitigate the impact of a drowning. Using Table 4, severity is rated as medium. Since paddlers are occasional river users, blisters on the hand can be a common problem because they haven't developed calluses. Blisters are treated and paddlers depart. The probability of occurrence is rated medium, and the impact to the organization is rated as low. Using Table 4, severity is rated as low. The third step is to determine a response strategy. There are 4 strategies: transfer, retain, avoidance, and reduction. Transfer and retain are considered risk financing techniques. They emphasize how to finance the loss or transfer it to another party. Avoidance and reduction are risk control techniques. Their emphasis is on minimizing the risk of loss. If you are in the business, you are in the business of risk reduction. There are 3 approaches to risk transfer: insurance, subcontracting, and indemnification and hold harmless clauses. Insurance attempts to transfer the loss to a third party, usually the insurance company. In the Winding River's case, Melanie drowned on a strainer. The insurance company paid the eventual settlement. Subsequently, Winding Rivers went out of business. However, there was no financial cost to the owners. Subcontracting attempts to transfer the risk of loss to the subcontractor performing the service or activity. Shelby Township subcontracted the canoe rental business to Winding River Canoe Rentals. They were excused from the lawsuit brought by Melanie's estate. Indemnification or hold harmless clauses, usually waivers, attempts to transfer the loss to the victim. Melanie signed a waiver. Enforcement of waivers varies greatly with state law. Often gross negligence is required to override a waiver, such as in Melanie's lawsuit. Retaining risk is where the organization assumes the cost of the loss itself. Governments are often self-insured and pay for the losses through tax revenues. Private entities may have a sinking fund. Deductible insurance is a form of partial retention. The deductible portion is the retained portion. Risk avoidance eliminates the source of the risk and hence any problems associated with it. You can get out of the business or eliminate the program. Temporary cessation of the activity is a form of avoidance. Winding Rivers could have installed a river gauge and when the water level reached a certain height, cease paddling activities. This would have avoided Melanie's drowning. Risk reduction focuses on reducing the probability of occurrence or the impact to the organization. Generally, there are 4 risk reduction strategies: inspect, warn, remove, and repair. Winding Rivers can inspect the river for strainers. They can warn customers of their danger. They can remove the strainers from the river. However, repairing strainers is not really feasible. Improvements can be made and the change in risk management can be calculated. Mitigation are improvements in probabilities. Contingencies are improvements that reduce impacts. Table 6 is identical to Table 1 except it is for Period 2. Dangerous strainers were removed. A gauge was installed, and with the help of the local canoe club, the high water cutoff point for commercial operations was determined. With these improvements, strainer probability remained as medium, and impact was lowered to medium. With high water cessation of activities, Yates's Dam is much less a dangerous hazard. Probability was lowered to low, with impact remaining the same. No change was envisioned regarding blisters. The mitigation efforts can be measured. Table 7 is used to calculate the change. The risk and severity are listed for period 1 and period 2. This ordinal data needs to be converted to numeric form to make the calculation. Table 8 converts the high to a 0.8, medium to a 0.5, and low to a 0.2 probability. Each column is totaled and the percentage of change is calculated. Subtract the total for period 2 from period 1. The difference is divided by the period 1 total and multiplied by 100 to convert it to a percentage. The measures taken reduce risks by 40%. That is pretty much it. The purpose of a risk management plan is to identify the potential risks to an organization, to rank them in terms of their severity, and to take risk management strategies that mitigate the risk. The risk management plan is a method to manage the risk and reduce the likelihood of lawsuits.